Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's another inciting. It's another
No, that's
incident.
the other live stream that's happening right now.
An inciting incident. Yeah. We're streaming. It's it's June 27th. And we started shortly after another stream that thankfully more people will be talking about that one, not this one. If somehow we got more talk about just whatever than the presidential debate, something's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. But we're happy to be your B team. We're happy to be your other option. If you're just trying to tune that out because you just can't even, we're happy to be that for you.
We're the only other option.
That's right.
There's no other alternatives. Yeah, anyway.
It can't really be much of a debate anyway, because neither one of them can keep track of what they're saying.
I mean, okay. Listen, we don't get into politics here, right? But let me
It's
just say.
not politics, it's ageism.
Oh, we engage in ageism all the time. I had it playing for a second. When Jesse joined our little video chat here, I was screen sharing the debate. I was pirating the CNN stream.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you're not supposed to. Nobody's supposed to stream that. But them, only them.
Only them. Anyway, I mean, I hate to say it. Listen. They both suck. There. How's that for your political commentary? Biden seems like he needs a nap real bad. And I was like, oh, dude, come on. Yeah. Like, Trump's like the easiest, you just got to seem competent. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
But he seems...
or like you care a little bit.
Yeah. I'll be very curious to check out highlights after our show's over.
Yeah,
after the real event.
Maybe they'll both get really mad and it'll get interesting. But right now, it's the most boring prize fight of all time.
Yeah, with a very big prize.
Yeah.
Not that. Listen, not like anyone's vote is hinging on how this debate goes, and maybe I'm wrong. But if you weren't decided a year ago, I don't know what I don't know what's going to sway you.
Well, it won't be policy. It'll be like, oh, well, he seemed to talk better. That's what tonight would do for anybody that's undecided. It's like, oh, well, I guess.
Well, that's a bummer.
I know, right? Cool.
Yeah, what's the cut of this guy's jib? Either of these guys that have been center stage for like a decade at least at this point. I mean, if you include it has been whatever. Hey, let's move on to what we're actually talking about. But before all that, we're going to be talking about Doctor Who tonight. We're not talking about the debate. We're going to talk about Doctor Who. It might actually get more spicy, more salty than any presidential debate conversation ever could.
Because we actually care about this.
Before all that, though, how are you two doing?
Doing all right.
I'm okay.
I just want to say, if you happen to be listening on Helix Rock Radio, thank you. If you're not, you can also listen to us on Helix Rock Radio. As I said in a Facebook post, audio only over there. If you're on the go, you can't tune in to watch us, you can at least listen to us. Or maybe if you just don't like our dumb faces. Audio only on Helix Rock Radio.
But if you want to derail us, you can join us on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can just type your little comments into the comedy comment box, and we will talk at you.
Did you say comedy comment box or comment? Yep. I like that. It's the comedy comment box. If it's not comedy.
Oh, yeah. I said it so fast that there's no N. The N is silent. Comedy comment.
Uh, it better be comedy.
It's commentary.
What are you? Hey, you been in? I haven't been watching like hardly anything. You guys been consuming anything else this week? Been watching anything before we dive into the Doctor Who discussion?
The only other thing I've been watching is today I watched the most recent episode of The Boys. The Boys.
Oh, did you? I haven't checked it out yet. I did see a headline that I was like, oh, that looks like it's going to be spoilery. I'm not going to read it. We are up to last week, though.
Oh,
so.
man. Last week's was intense. Homelander's Homecoming, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because I knew I'd seen a bunch of headlines about Homelander in episode 4. So I was like, oh, something's happening.
Yeah.
So I was excited for it. And I had mentioned that to Melanie, and we watched it. And Melanie's like, what was supposed to happen?
I mean,
She didn't seem super like impressed or shocked or whatever. So
he did laser a guy's something off.
yeah, but I'm used to the, violence and gore. I thought something plot-wise was going to happen, and nothing really did, in my opinion.
Right.
yeah,
Or at
Yeah,
least
I mean,
it
it
was the main plot.
It kind of sets up this whole idea that he's faced his demons, the demons of his past, and so now he has 0 Fs left.
I mean, I don't know. He's obviously got some mental health problems,
Oh yeah,
and I'm pretty sure just lasering some dude's junk isn't going to solve that. So,
oh no, but he thinks he has.
Yeah.
Because he's a narcissist.
right.
I liked it. It was good. His name escapes me, but he's a good actor. Yeah, I thought he played it well.
Anthony Starr? Anthony
That's
something?
it. I think you
Is that
got
it?
it. That's
All right.
it. I think so.
I like The Boys. I always have. I'm sure I will like it going forth. But so far this season, the most compelling thing to me is what the squid's gonna do when she finds out about Aquaman and his that white
Sage?
smart chick. Yeah.
Sage.
Man,
yeah.
she is complicated too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Tilda Swinton. They got Tilda Swinton to be the voice of an octopus.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
This show, man.
She could play any role.
Man, they get they get Will Ferrell, they get Tilda Swinton, they just get everybody.
I did enjoy the Will Ferrell. I don't know if you'd call it a cameo or whatever, a little bit in that movie. Okay, The Boys is very on the nose, but I do enjoy their satire.
Oh
as
man.
kind of blatant as it is. I had seen a. We don't have to get into this debate again, but I had seen a post on Threads today where somebody just started watching the series, and because apparently they weren't a fan of the comics. I don't think I've ever read any of the Boys comics. They weren't a fan of the comics, so they never watched the show. But they decided to give it a go, and they're like,
if you did want to read The Boys, you know where you
Oh,
can
I
get
bet-
yourself some Boys comics.
I have the I'm gonna guess if you go to, I don't know, grawlixpodcast.com/humble, that's an affiliate link. It'll redirect you through our affiliate link, and you could probably find a bundle maybe, because it seems like there's always a Boys bundle.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
comics, digital comics over there.
It sounds like there's a lot of things they changed for the show because it's just better.
That's actually like a reoccurring thing I've been seeing, is that the show is actually better than the comic series, which is interesting.
It's like they take what they want and they try to stay true to basically the spirit of the idea, but
Okay.
the writing is apparently markedly better for the show.
well, the comic, that's Garth
Ennis,
or Ennis, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, traditionally I've liked what I've read of his stuff. But
Do they have any girls comics?
I want to say there was. I want to say there was like a spin-off that's the girls.
Cool.
But I had seen a comment that person started watching the show, and they were just 4 episodes in to the first season, something like uh, the Jesus Camp episode or something. I don't recall
yeah.
exactly. It's been a while, and they're like, "How are?" They're talking about conservatives, but they're like, "How are some conservatives just now keying into the
Right.
fact that they're like satirizing them with this?"
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
With
what
the
we were
star,
talking about.
yeah, is the whole Starlight thing, and how
Mhm.
they were using her as the Christian moral face of the Seven. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is very blatant this season, but I don't like they've never hit it. They've never been particularly subtle with their satire.
No.
It's
No.
not really. If the boys does anything, it's not subtle.
Well,
Yeah.
That's the last thing. Yeah.
the episode that you just watched, I watched the Inside episode 4 bonus thing that they had on Prime, and they were like, basically the Roe v. Wade thing had just been overturned, right? And so they were like, we were hesitant at first, but then like most of the female actresses were like, no, you haven't been, you haven't not dealt with it in the past. This is absolutely what the show should and has done in the past.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That seemed very. I figured that was very much a reaction to that whole like subplot or whatever. I guess.
Well, and the airing of medical records too, man. Like they went
Right.
even further into dystopia there. Just
Yeah.
like, oh nope, we just have access to their medical records.
So yeah, I've been enjoying it so far quite a bit. I was at the beginning before I started the season, I was a little nervous, not because of like the backlash from the people who were upset because they just figured out the joke, I guess, but overall it had kind of a negative tone in terms of like what I was hearing, and I really think it was just that. It was just like a somewhat successful smear campaign because watching it, yeah, it's so far it's pretty good. It's interesting.
It's the same quality. I don't know. Maybe it's
Right.
not quite the same quality. Like it's a little different, but it's not. I don't know. It's not bad. It's just like almost like they've hit their stride here, and they're just kind of
Right.
riding their stride at the moment.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it doesn't
'cause-
feel like a decline.
No,
The character. It does feel like the characters, in terms of like the characters always have different things going on, but it does seem like they split them up a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that's just
it's like the
shooting,
breathing
like-
room season. It feels like
right.
Like there's
Right.
a lot of breathing room and there's a lot of character development happening. And some of the character development is weird. I'm not saying it's 1,000% perfect here, but
Right.
it is definitely diving into that. Like everybody's getting like I guess the Kimiko and Frenchie dynamic has changed. It seems like I honestly thought they were leaning towards like a love angle between those two, and they took a hard left turn away from that this season, and that's fine. It just it seemed a little abrupt, I guess.
Agreed. Really, it's like the his subplot with that guy and the guy's family. It kind of seems like out of left field, and I mean it's fine. It is out of left field, and it's not like we know everything about these characters' history, so it's fine to inject some backstory. But yeah, that kind of seems out of the, maybe they're just like, well, we don't really know where to go with their relationship, so let's do this backstory thing with this other guy.
And they have been giving everybody a backstory this season, like at least on the side of the boys, like everybody's, we're finding out new things about everybody's backstory. Like we get Huey's mom, and we get a little bit more into that. Speaking
I
of
don't trust
which, the end of the episode and
Episode
what,
4.
yeah, and what the implications for Simon Pegg's character, who has just been in a bed all season so far.
That whole, and especially that whole episode, and before that, I was thinking, I was like, I mean, they didn't use him a lot anyway. He's not like a main player. Even in the first season, I think, where he was more prevalent,
Right.
because we kind of followed. Is his name? What's his name?
His name is Hugh.
Hugh.
His name is
Hugh.
Hugh, and then Huey. So he'd be like a junior. I'm assuming.
Okay.
But he's
Okay,
Hugh and
okay.
Huey. Yep.
We followed Huey a lot that first season specifically. He was kind of like our in, especially through like the event with his girlfriend and all that, and A Train. But this season, I was like, can they just don't want to pay Simon Pegg, or is he just too busy, or like like what's the deal? They're just gonna like write him off and he's in a bed, and then we're gonna get him out of here. But then we leave.
We're gonna get you get more of him in this latest episode. They got their, they're saving it, but you get your bang for your buck with Simon Pegg in that next episode. So
Yay! I love him. He's great.
Yeah,
it's another bonkers episode. Just like they're like the exploding. Was it the shark that explodes or the whale that explodes? I don't know, but I think it was season 2 or something. But it's like you get some more bonkers stuff in this latest episode. Not that the last episode wasn't bonkers, because you had like the whole like Starlighter or Starlight, is that her name?
Yeah.
I don't know. She goes
name?
postal. That's probably still a slight, or I don't know if that's a derogatory term, but she goes postal on Firecracker.
Right. No, it does seem like they haven't. I know they've done some outlandish. The boys has to have their like meme moments, really. Like they make a point of it. And the spinoff show, I wonder what's going to happen with that, since the one actor passed away. But the spinoff show definitely did the same thing, where it's got its
Generation V, or is this the cartoon?
Yeah. No. I don't know what it would have been in the cartoon. The cartoon just had a lot of crazy stuff. But Generation V is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It just makes me like in Generation V. One thing that I recall is one of the characters can shrink, very tiny, and then that like there's a sex scene where she's very tiny and like climbing things, which is ridiculous. And then, I mean, the whole orgy thing in was that last season of The Boys?
Yeah,
they always go over the top in ridiculous, usually strange sexual ways, to make it memorable, to make it really stick with you. And I feel like we haven't necessarily got that this season yet, or at least up to the first 4 episodes. I haven't seen episode 5.
Right.
But,
yeah. I wanted to say some of the character development, I feel it feels a little forced to me. It doesn't seem normal. Like the Starlight thing, like her being a mean girl. I don't really buy that from the way that her character has been presented up until this season. That doesn't seem like how she would be.
Right. Like how she treated Firecracker.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That is another case of, it's not egregious, but backstory that felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like when she showed up in episode 4 in Firecracker's room to like confront her, is like, what's your problem with me? I mean, I guess she really went like high school, right? I was like, wait, seriously? She would break into, it seemed kind of far-fetched to me, but whatever, I rolled with it. It don't matter.
It's not really a spoiler, but it pertains to this most recent episode and how everything is kind of messed with their heads lately. That episode 4 messed with all their heads. Butcher doesn't know what's going on with whatever's going on with him. Like he just blacks out, and then that Ezekiel pastor guy, that Reed Richards creep looking guy, is just exploded. So
yeah, I'm excited for that, to find out what is up with that. I mean,
yeah. But it's just like, man, they're all just like in a weird headspace right now.
Well, I would imagine it's kind of hard to fight superheroes without being in a weird headspace, just like all the time. I would think.
Yeah.
They did have a little bit of a meme moment this season. I don't think it was as effective or successful as a similar thing they did in Generation V, but when what is we'll call him Frenchie. Is his name French? What do they call him? The French
He's got
guy.
a French name, but they call him Frenchie. Yeah.
Okay. He's on drugs and he goes with what's her name to basically attack
Yeah.
organization. And so when she's attacking them, it's like, what was it like?
Like rubber ducks
duckies
and
or
stuff.
flowers or something. Yeah.
They explain that in the behind the episode thing, but you don't get the payoff for what all that means until you get to the end of the episode. And he talks about how his dad would make him sit in the
Oh,
tub.
the bathtub.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of the bubbles and the
Okay.
rubber ducky, all of that was like regressive flashback stuff that pertained to that story that you get later on in the episode. I didn't even draw the connection until I watched the behind the episode stuff.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it made me think of in Gen V. There's one guy. I mean, there's one character who's kind of a serial killer, I guess. I mean, he is, but he's not necessarily like whatever.
They're all kind of
Shades of
serial
gray.
killers, but yeah.
Right. Well, he kills a lot of people, but when he does, he has delusions where he sees people as and also talks to puppets, and so it's the whole like brutal, violent, like murder action scene, except it's like puppets and there's like whatever things flying, stuffing and stuff flying through the air. Like it's ridiculous.
Kind of like Black Noir and how
Yes.
he would see like cartoon characters and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
the
like
guy that
only
they,
puppets.
the actor in the show, not in real life, the actor that
Right.
they have that they cast as the new one, the new Black Noir. As an idiot, man. He just needs
I know.
He keeps asking about his like motivation. It's like, dude, take the clue. You just be quiet.
You don't
be
talk.
quiet and look mean. Yeah. Anyway, I hadn't expected to get in that much of a discussion about the boys, but yeah, it's good.
It's good. It continues to be good.
I can't promise I will, but I'll try to in the next couple weeks keep up. I don't know how many episodes they do in this season.
I don't know. It's a good question, and that's the thing that I don't know. You know, like in the last season, it was so off to the races, and you could clearly see where they were going. Like it was ultimately going to be this showdown between Soldier Boy and Homelander. Like that was the whole point. I don't know where it's going this season. I think it's this whole virus angle that they kind of planted the seeds for in a previous season. But I don't know for a fact that's where they're headed or not.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I expected. According to Wikipedia has 8 total episodes listed. I kind of figured.
Oh
That
man,
kinda
so
seems
we're
like they're
already
going,
over
like,
halfway
standard
through.
now. Right, that's what I was wondering. The virus thing, I'm really surprised because Generation V like really set that up. That was kind of like the main takeaway from that show is like this virus, and yeah, that's where you really learn all about that. And so I've been a little surprised there hasn't been more focus on it in the boys this season. But again, I mean, things can happen quickly in this show, so who knows?
What do you think of like Sage and how she has to basically lobotomize herself just to feel joy?
Episode 3, I was like, it's a little weird. She's watching. I don't know. It was like something like The Bachelor type thing or something.
Yeah.
And then like is hitting on what's his name? But it's like whatever. Like
Yeah.
But they showed the spike.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, but I was like, oh, what's that? And then the next episode, you get the explanation.
The reveal. Yeah.
It was pretty difficult to watch the procedure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense, you like think about
Yeah.
if you were the smartest person alive and you just couldn't even switch that off, you'd know that you can't eat this garbage food. You couldn't enjoy it, right? Like, you
Right.
know what it's doing to you. Yeah.
That that reminds me of an episode of some other show that I watched. But there was somebody who was like a super genius, um, but he was married to a like a nurse or something, and he would drink a bottle of Robitussin every day. He's like, because otherwise I can't stand to be around her. But I love her when I'm not sober, you know.
Oh,
And he's
no.
like,
Robo tripping.
but otherwise it's like talking to a cabbage, and you know, and he's like, and I don't want to be that person. So you know, whatever.
Right. He basically he has to dumb himself down so he can exist in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather that than a lobotomy. Every
You know,
time I
like,
wanted
I've
to
always
mellow out.
enjoyed that. Like, Peter David, he did that run on X Factor. And one of my favorite episodes is where they have to do basically like, I don't know, like a post, I don't know what you call it, an after the mission kind of thing, a debrief with a psychiatrist, and it's Doc Samson. So they've, you know, like they've already got this lore of who the psychiatrist is, and it's Quicksilver, and he's basically explaining why he's such a jerk, and it's because he goes through life having to wait for absolutely everybody. Everybody's too slow for him, and it's just obnoxious to him.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
It was like, oh my God, it finally makes sense why he's always been such a prick.
But I love it when ridiculous or outlandish concepts are treated with that level of like, I don't know, I guess seriousness, but you know, yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for that.
Me too.
It's also why I don't superhero movies they're just dumb fun. Just turn your brain off. None of them are bad, but also all of them are bad. It's like no. I still want a good movie.
Speaking of having to turn your brain off in order to enjoy it,
Oh yeah,
and only 8 episodes.
yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we are streaming. It's the 27th. Doctor Who, Empire of Death, the season 1 finale, I guess they're calling it. I've noticed, I think some people are specifying the difference because it's whatever. It's Marvel too. It's also Marvel. They're just doing new number one.
Right.
You got
What
classic
was it?
series.
Radio Free Scarro did all of the modifiers. They were like, or series 14, or season 44. You know, like they
Right.
they continued even the classic series, depending on whatever your modifier moniker is for it.
So the most recent season finale aired. The follow up to everything, because that's RTD is at least good at like tying in at least season long arcs. But basically the part 2 of the Legend of Ruby Sunday, or Ruby Tuesday, whatever her name, Ruby Sunday,
Yeah.
or Tuesday. I don't care. Who cares?
Ruby
Ruby.
Tuesday is the place you eat. Ruby Sunday is
That's what it is. That's okay. Thank you. Man, we were pretty hyped. We were pretty hyped this whole season.
it was a great setup.
I went into the season nervous but excited because RTD, and I wasn't crazy about everything in the Legend of Ruby Sunday, but overall the season won me over quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Basically because there was only there was 2 musical numbers, which is arguably too many, but it didn't go musical every episode like I was worried, so whatever. And there were some bangers, man. Boom is pretty good. 73, 72 yards, whatever.
73 yards, yep.
73 yards was great. Yeah. So surely, we're not talking about Moff here. RTD is going to stick the landing because he has the perfect track record of sticking
He surely
season
does.
finale landings, doesn't he?
Boy, howdy does he.
So what'd you guys think of this? What'd you think of this episode?
Wah, wah.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. I don't think he tried. I think he was like, I'm a little busy today. Let's just fake some stuff up and pretend it's good enough. I
It
didn't like it.
sounds like he got into a fair amount of like behind the scenes struggles or whatever. Like he wasn't even trying to hide it in some of his commentary, where he was like, "Well, I wanted this, and they wanted that, and
Oh,
here's what we
really?
got." It kind of made it sound
Okay.
like it was like a little bit of a struggle with some things.
Well, I read that one. I shared it to the
Yeah.
Grawlix chat today, but I read that article taken from information from one of his episode commentaries, and it was about basically
Oh yeah.
what happened to the people. I always called it. I was calling it the memory TARDIS, but I guess the remembered TARDIS. What happened to the remembered TARDIS? Because it does, and I noticed while watching the episode, just disappear. It's just like not
Yeah.
addressed. It's gone. Who know
Right.
where did it go? We didn't see it disappear. It's just not spoken of anymore. That bugged me a little bit. But then something I had even forgotten about till I read the article, and I was like, "Yeah, what is that?" Where someone pulls a lever in the TARDIS, and it teleports the Doctor and companions from years in the future. They were not in the TARDIS. They just Star Treks them across 20 years to this location. Really, I was like, "What is that?" The TARDIS doesn't do that.
Right.
And apparently RTD was also like, "What is that? The TARDIS doesn't do that. I hope it doesn't do it again. We probably shouldn't have done that." But it's like, yeah, but you did it.
Right.
Like you're the guy in charge. Why did you do it?
And it didn't. And Ruby even said something about it earlier on, like, "Oh, why can't you just do the thing like Star Trek or something?" And
You're right.
and then they
How's he
did
gonna-
it. And then they did it.
How's he gonna call it out and then do the thing? That's kind of like I don't know. This is such a minor point, but I think the bigger thing is, to me, it felt like that's an obvious plot hole, and also like potentially setting a dangerous precedent because
Yeah.
he should know how they do with who.
Which
Or if,
RTD
like,
is full of dangerous precedents.
yeah,
The Osterhagen key or whatever. The
Right.
the doctor being remembered by all and loved by all, which causes him to
man.
de-age and float around the room like an angel.
Yeah, I should have not been so.
That
excited
didn't
for
happen in
episode.
this episode, to be fair. That happened
Well,
years ago. Years ago. We've learned nothing.
but there's just little things where I'm like, it's easy for me to say in retrospect, and also like just being somebody watching it, not actually working on anything. But teleporting them through time, cut this. You don't have to show a lever switch. It could just be like, oh, Sutek has crazy immense power or something. Whatever.
Oh,
I'd buy
he's the
that
one who
better.
waits or something, right? Is
Right.
he the one that waits, or was that a red
thi-
herring for something else
He's
too?
the one who knocks.
I think he was
No, I'm
supposed to
just
be. What?
I said he's the one who knocks.
Is he the one who knocks? I thought that was the master. The master knocks 4 times, right?
Oh, right.
Right. Well, also Wolf does too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, stuff like that makes little plot holes or just nonsensical things that are just like annoying. It
This
felt
thing was full of them. I've got a list, dude.
according to his the thing that frustrated me about this article is that it felt like those exist because one, either or of these things, he didn't have time, or two, or he just didn't care. Like it didn't matter. And
It sounds like it was a little bit of both. Like what he wanted was to cause the memory TARDIS to like fall apart, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Nah, we don't have money for that. You've already used
Right.
all the money on this dog monster."
hey, record this little ADR line for me real quick. Whoever is in the scene. Where'd the remembered TARDIS go? I don't know. Drifted away. Oh, where's it at?
Right.
That's it. Just something instead
Yeah.
of just disappear.
And that wound up being a happy accident because then they were able to use it.
That's true.
But still, just mention it. I don't know. Seems like a thing Ruby would say, like,
Yeah.
what about the what about the memory TARDIS?
Right. A line. There's been other things this season where it's just like, a single line read. He would take care of that.
Yeah.
He's mentioned his 2 hearts enough. We can't get a
Right.
line that explains the actual episode.
I think there's some interesting things. It felt so disjointed, and that's the thing. It felt like trying to do too much with not enough time, but also felt like trying to do too much, but at the same time, like doing your homework last minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that is the case. Maybe there was time constraints, and also the scope was like he was trying to go for a bigger scope than they were going to allot for an episode number or something. But a good example is the scene, which felt like it just came out of nowhere, because it did, where the Doctor goes to get a piece of metal from this lady, like one of the
Before
last
we get into
humans.
Before we get into that,
Okay,
let's set this up, because we've really just jumped right into this. So the episode before, we get the payoff of a whole season of giving us the Susan character throughout the universe, throughout time and space, and we were thinking, oh, maybe it's Susan, right? Or I don't know. People were thinking that until the internet happened, and then come to find out, oh my goodness, it was Sutek all along. And that's a huge thing, because it's been like, did somebody say it was almost 50 years since we've seen that? Not 50 years, 40 years. It's been a long time since Sutek. Yeah. And we got the original voice, we got everything. And it was, oh man, what a way to end the episode. And, like people are dying, turning into dust and stuff. We're like, oh no, what's the Doctor going to do? And then we open the scene right where we left it off, and people just start dying. Like main character energy people just start dying. And right off the bat, that this thing is just going to end with everybody alive. Because right off the bat, they kill people like Rose, and they kill people like Kate. They just boom, they're dead. And it's like, oh yeah, nothing matters. This is all going to get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If it had been like one of them, maybe, but not
right.
Not everybody.
Agreed. Yeah. Even though she's really a minor character who's been in like a handful of episodes, Rose, killing her, it's like that doesn't make.
Yeah.
If it was just Kate or something, like Kate would be a pretty big one, but if it was just her, maybe. But Kate, Rose, even Ruby's like adopted mom or whatever, or her guardian, whatever you call her. I was like, no, they're not going to be.
You
that
kill
mean.
Rose, Donna's kicking you in the junk.
Right.
Like, there's no way that you just kill Rose and Donna doesn't return for some retribution.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard, like, I get it. And, we've criticized RTD in the past for always like, it's always got to be big. It's always got to be bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it's reality itself. The reality bomb. Like, it gets ridiculous. But I get you want to be big. Go big. God, it felt like he watched Flux and it's just like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
But you then, at that point, you have to know, the viewer's going to know, this is going to get reversed. And we don't have to jump there yet, but so at that point, your goal needs to be to make the reversal as interesting or at least somewhat plausible as possible. Not some magical, ridiculous nonsense. Not that they played this off as magical, but like, I don't know, man.
Bad man.
We're gonna go full spoilers on this because, like, of course they come back, because when you bring death to death somehow, then everyone is alive again. By the way, that line when he said "bring death to death," and I'm like,
when you bring death to death,
in Torchwood.
I was gonna say, we've seen Miracle Day.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that ever.
God, that's one of the most disturbing. Man, yeah.
Yeah.
but at least give us like reverse the shot of them dusting. Don't
Yeah.
they're not just they're laying there fine all of a sudden and they're getting up. Like show at least the process reversing or something. I would have felt better about that instead of just like, oh, they're all fine, even though he was literally just they were all just dust.
We're in the end game now. We're in the laziest end game.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder if it's because of Disney. If he's like, oh, working with Disney now. I'm gonna riff on some Endgame, some Star Wars, all of it. Because the other also I didn't mind so the Susan triad thing, how that ended up because there was some like so was she a harbinger? Because he already has a harbinger in unit apparently. So the idea that she was basically just like a person that would come into being or something everywhere he went, the TARDIS landed.
She was a redundant red herring through time and space.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. But they did make it so that like that way everywhere the doctors landed, at least since the fourth Doctor, I feel like they didn't make that distinction and they probably should have. But
right.
There's one of her there, and so when the call for dusty action happens or whatever, she's gonna be on all these planets, unleashing his gift of death and destruction or whatever. I was okay with that ultimately. I think that's fine. What I think is ridiculous though is then Kate being like, "You should work for Unit. Sutek's dead. Like we trust you, even though you're basically a construct of him." Or yeah. Like I'd be like, no, cool. Well, yeah, we'll be in touch. Get out, go live your life. We don't trust you.
So like Sutek's killing everybody, right? And so they got to get out of there. So they go to the time window to find Ruby because that's where the Doctor told her to go anyways, and that's where they find the memory TARDIS, right? While the entire world is being destroyed. They jump into a remembered TARDIS, which we have seen in Tales of the TARDIS. That wound up being a pretty cool deal. Like the remembered TARDIS, as bizarre an idea as it sounds on paper, like in practice, it was like, all right, this is not the dumbest thing in this episode.
Yeah, I actually think it works better in this episode than it does in the Tales of the TARDIS spinoff or whatever, where it's just like, what? Okay, whatever. But, you know, we only know what that is as Americans because we're Doctor Who nuts. Like, we're big fans, and we'll look into me. I am, and Jesse. Melanie's not doing extra homework on Doctor Who, but...
No.
But I bet most Americans, they didn't know what that was.
No.
So I didn't think about it while watching it. But I wonder how well the explanation. It's probably explained well enough that a viewer who's because like nobody even talks about it really outside of the UK. You can only watch those on the BBC iPlayer or whatever.
Right. And you've seen maybe production stills on like news articles and whatnot.
But again, that's if you're like really following the news on it,
right?
Instead of just tuning in every week because you like it. You got to be obsessive,
right? Then we get the whole world covered in Sutek dust, right? Everything's dying. It's even dying backwards, apparently. And
all through time. This season had a few very lofty ideas that I was like, I like it in concept. It doesn't make sense though. And I like the idea of like, there's a Susan in every time that the TARDIS has landed on Earth, which is hundreds and hundreds of times. And it even says, so the Earth, it's dying across time over and over. It's like, that doesn't make sense, but okay.
It had a very Matt Smith, the end of time, everything's broken feel where like Winston Churchill comes in and he's like, what'd you do? That whole thing. It was like, okay, so we're going to cite some bad Moffat. What's going on here? And so like they're the memory TARDIS was cool. You see all this stuff, you get the member berries, and then he's like trying to explain things to Ruby by showing her old episodes on the iPlayer. It was a great commercial for the iPlayer. If you live in the BBC, if you live in the UK, it was like, you should get the iPlayer.
You want to know what I think maybe, possibly, at least while watching it, annoyed me most? So they have a tube TV. They have this old tube TV in the time window area. He goes up with his Sonic at the tube TV. This is a tube television.
Yeah.
And then he pulls it out, and it's basically just like a thick iPad or something.
Right.
Like, that's not a tube TV. It's not how it works. And you can't tell me a sonic screwdriver remanufactured this tube to be a slab. Stupid. It is so nonsensical. That's such a stupid thing to get hung up on. But it was bugging me for like the first 20 minutes. I was like, no. Every time they cut to it, nope. I'm sorry. Continue on with the...
No, I mean, but then it's just this weird dystopian, like, we've been floating forever. Who knows how long we've been out here. And now our tube TV is broken. Our tube TV that we just disconnected from a thing,
Right.
and it was working a minute ago, but now we need to find flippin' metal. And there's no one left in the universe, but we need metal.
That felt like, and that's where it feels like the scope far exceeds the grasp, if that's a term, if that's a saying, because it seems so disjointed at that point. It seemed like such a instant ramp up to, and I like I like the Doctor. This Doctor is more emotional. I like that, but he seemed like instantly amped up to 10, just distraught. And it's like, dude, this just unless I'm missing something, and I might have been. It seemed like that just happened, and he's like, it's all gone. Everyone's gone. Like, we're the last beings. And it's like, really? Because, that scene was literally 30 seconds ago. I thought, okay. And, yeah, that disjointed feel kind of really continued into that next scene with the lady in the wasteland or wherever.
You don't have a baby, but do you have a spoon?
I will say the baby thing... That seems like RTD literally killed the baby when he should have killed the baby in writing, as they say.
Oh no! Scene. Children of men. He kills some babies.
I thought the scene itself was great. Its existence in this episode is kind of baffling, but the scene itself is great, especially when she's like, I think maybe my baby's dead, and the Doctor's just like, yeah, I think it is. I was like, whoa, this is pretty dark. It's a super dark moment for Doctor Who. I thought it was great, but again, the scene seems so disjointed and out of nowhere. I don't know, and the fact that
it gets even worse with where they go next.
Take us there. Where do they go next?
They go to 2046?
2046, that's right.
Yeah, they have this whole idea. They have this whole interchange of how do you know that? I don't know how I know that. The whole 73 Yards universe where she learned all this stuff and she remembered somehow, but we're not going to talk about how. We're just going to, well, that's a great idea that you just came up with and I don't know how or why. Let's go to 2046 where they have a database about who your mom could be. And also at this point, the universe is dead. They're going to a dead 2046. There's nobody there, nothing there. So this, I mean, the whole premise had broken. I'm losing my train of thought
completely
now, because it's lost its premise already, because at this point, the only reason that Sutek has not killed everyone, even his harbingers and everyone, because he's got a link to everybody, because even the cells in your body are dead or dying. And so I can kill whenever I want to. So he could just have ended this. You know why he doesn't? Do you know why, friends? The god of death doesn't just rule over a dead universe by himself, which is apparently his goal. FOMO. Fear of missing out. He cannot stand that he does not know who Ruby's mom is.
I know. I was gonna say, well, it's because clearly he's been watching this whole season with us. He really wants to know. It's been built up as this big thing. I mean, this girl could inexplicably conjure snow out of thin air for no reason. There must be something. Who is this? Who is her mom? That's the only thing keeping Sutek from knocking off the last two living life forms and then his harbingers.
Yeah,
He's got to know. He's along with us,
and he's gonna send Mel to help him out. He's like, oh, you know who's dying? Mel. she's dying every day. So she's now one of my servants, and she's gonna find out who Ruby's mom is, because FOMO.
I think the spoon scene was supposed to be tied to this, because when the show first shows the doctor showing up there with a cloak over him, he looks like her mom. And then he gets there and there's a baby there. I think that it was meant to be another, something to throw people off.
Yes, and I kind of, and it did. It was like, oh, is that it? I kind of think RTD got too caught up in the meta game of the show and knowing, and us, the audience, and forgot the story needs to be good too.
My brain instantly went to, that's the spoon that Capaldi used. That's where my stupid brain went.
You know what? He probably knew that too. Or he's like, that's Sylvester McCoy's spoon. Now the doctor needs to go find a second one, and he's going to play a little ditty. He's so caught up in the metagame of it that I feel like the story really suffered. Okay, so let's talk about finally.
So they're still in. I mean, like I still have notes about 2046.
Let's hear it.
So the doctor figures out that Mel is clearly under the sway of Sutek, right? And so he's like, you know what would be really helpful, Mel, if you went and kept watch.
You keep watch outside. Go in the other room.
Dead planet, in case somebody comes. I was like, who's she keeping watch for, Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do that, and then they find who Ruby's mom is, and then it's off to the races. Like it's literally that fast. Like, but what is it? I don't know what it means. I don't understand what it means. None of us will understand what it means by the end of this episode, but she really doesn't get it at the time.
Okay, do we want to talk about the reversal and dealing with Sutek first, and then we can talk about Ruby's mom?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you already alluded to how they get back to the unit headquarters. They just get beamed there.
They get beamed there because lazy
lazy
writing.
Nobody cared.
Not enough budget, although you could allocate some budget from somewhere, maybe.
Somewhere.
Star Trek did it with some sparkles in water. I'm sure they could do it too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, why not just have them take the memory TARDIS back? I just don't get it.
Or a little exposition. It's not like Doctor Who doesn't love exposition.
Yeah. They established the rope version of the gloves, which I'm fine with. Basically, the gloves that they talked about in the church on Ruby Road,
or whatever.
Yeah, and there's basically a rope version like that. That's just super strong, which is okay, except when you see it, it's literally just a bungee cord with like a normal bungee cord hook. It's not like anything. Yep. It's just the flimsiest looking hook, and it's like, oh man, come on, dude. What are you doing? You're just messing with us.
They just
he's just
created
trolling.
a leash. They put a leash on him.
Yep.
Because he's a dog monster. So.
And you know what? If the doctor whistles, the TARDIS will keep. The TARDIS still listens to him.
Oh yes, yeah. Yep.
And they drag him through the time vortex.
When the whistle just came out of nowhere too, right?
Yeah, he found it. I think it might have been in the remembered TARDIS.
Okay.
I think it was in the remembered TARDIS. And he grabbed it because he, love a whistle as a callback,
Right.
So I mean, at least if you're gonna do a callback, you use it in a plot contrivance somehow. That's fine.
Sure.
But his idea is like he's gonna bring the universe is dead and time, maybe not time is dead, but the universe is dead. So he's gonna take Sutek to the universe so that Sutek spreads death to the death.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna kill Sutek the same way we killed him the last time.
Because
Right.
that worked. That worked real well.
Yeah.
The reversal was ridiculous. Also, I mean, I appreciate the like try to make, because for as like happy and jovial and loving as this doctor is, like he's RTD's still obviously trying to like, he's got the potential to be wicked. He's got a wicked streak in him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that. But he's got his speech where he's like, now I need to become the monster, and just unquestioningly like goes and, as far as he knows, kills Sutek intentionally.
I was really
knowing
excited
that
about that speech too, because they were saying that he went full Capaldi, and then seeing it, I was like, where was this full Capaldi?
That was you're right. I had forgotten they were hyping up some big speech, and I think that's what they were getting at. And I think they missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah, he basically was like a Bond villain. Like, I'm just gonna drop him here and it'll take care of itself while I go off and do other things. It's dumb.
Yeah, it got real dumb.
Yeah, and like it wouldn't be any like less impactful if he went and, like, I don't know, dropped him in a pocket universe or something, you know what I mean? But except it would actually get rid of him, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. Or go send him
Right.
wherever what's that one guy, the toy master guy is, Or
Right.
toy maker, I mean.
Seal him off in some chamber of the TARDIS.
Yeah, that would work, I suppose.
Yeah, he's gonna seduce. TARDIS is a tart. You keep him away
Clearly.
from the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So yeah, that speech, with that in mind, that speech is kind of disappointing because it was kind of nonsensical. Because the problem is when they give Capaldi big speeches, and they gave him a couple, including that one, the Zygons and stuff.
Oh man,
But,
Zygon
like,
one. Whew.
The problem is the logic behind his speeches usually was there. And at this point, I'm guessing 90% of the viewers, anything the doctor had to say, like, there was no credibility at that point because the logic of what he was doing, the actions, it just didn't make sense. And that's I think a big problem is there's so much abandoned logic. It's just like throw logic out the window. Doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's like, well, then why did we even bother getting invested in any of these things? And if you guys are ready,
I was gonna say, speaking of not making sense, this doctor has had a lot of really emotional times in some crises for somebody who went through therapy for however many years Tennant is sticking around, right? I mean, I thought that was the whole point,
Right.
was he was going to be better, and that's why there had to be two of them.
I think, and I don't know I don't know. I really worry about RTD's rewriting sometimes. I think that's kind of interesting, though, the idea that, like, he's gone through therapy, he's better, he's more friendly, he's, more loving, outwardly loving to the companions and people around him than, like, some of the other doctors have been.
I don't think you can get any more loving to the companions than Tennant, though.
Well, a little bit different, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I also think the fact that he does have this kind of wicked streak and is emotional I think it's okay that he's emotional, but he's also like, and this is something I noticed RTD started with 14, angry outbursts, punching walls. He's got
Yeah.
both 14 and 15 doing this now. And that's something I don't really remember any of the
That
doctors ever
part
doing.
of it is confusing because like I can hand wave away some of the emotional outbursts and whatnot because like going to therapy and being aware of the things that trigger you don't necessarily make you less emotional about them, right? Like
Right,
once
right.
once things are kind of laid bare and you're like, oh my goodness, this is why I am the way I am. It can be emotionally triggering for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part, like I'm okay with all of that.
Right.
But yeah, the inability to regulate knowing some of it, it's like, okay, well, you would be given tools. Like if he
Yeah.
actually spent the time working on it, he would come up with some tools. Yes, he would get emotional, but then he would know how to do that in a safe and healthy way.
Well, I kind of like the idea of like in some respect, yeah, he is more emotional and in a positive way. But I do like the idea of the doctor being overconfident in his therapy time or whatever,
Sure.
and thinking he's maybe better than he is, better
Yeah.
off than he is, or further.
It's like
more healthy
Homelander
than-
killing some guys and thinking he's good now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, you're not quite there yet. And that like kind of manifesting in interesting ways. See, even with this kind of crap episode, although him punching the wall I think happened the episode before, but
Right. Yeah.
there's still interesting character dynamics to talk about. So that's good.
Well, and even jumping ahead, like he still has a problem with attachment. He still has a problem with like being abandoned. Like and good. He should. I mean, if we were to take the timeless child thing as canon, then he's literally been abandoned since day one, and all of his companions abandon him, and he abandons his home planet or Gallifrey.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got abandonment issues. Okay, so that tracks. Cool. Keep with that. But
And I think the fact that like how easily and how often, even though now, although like Gallifrey gets saved just to be destroyed again, but he throws out, specifically 15 throws out, he's the last of the Time Lords a whole lot. He throws it out too much to where I think Ruby would be like, all right, dude, we know. Come on, man.
right.
Like,
Oh, we're back to that, huh? RTD had to make sure we were back to that last of the Time Lord thing.
so he kind of definitely has that, like, yeah. I don't know what it is, but that complex going on.
Well, and then
Ruby-
did
oh.
Gallifrey get resurrected in this whole Sutak thing then? Because
He did not call it
everything's
out by
back.
name, but I seen somewhere that there was a red planet. There's a red planet that is like Gallifrey is visibly one of the planets, but I don't think he called it out by name. Yeah. Also, that Miss Flood lady, we didn't get any answers with her, so that's disappointing. But she's definitely like a Time Lord, I think.
Right. Or something. She's something.
Yeah.
She was dressed all in white. She's the White Guardian.
You're right. You're right. But
If
here's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was
No.
just gonna say, yeah, the reversing death thing. So, if just swiping him through reverses death for all the planets and like Gallifrey, would that mean there were other things that he intentionally maybe killed that would be coming back to life? The Doctor, I mean.
Ooh.
Oh,
That
that's
could be
interesting.
fun.
Well, I was thinking, are they going to use that as a way to? Yeah, is it just the people that died because of Sutek,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
the dust? Because, like, that shouldn't then have any impact on Gallifrey unless there are people
Right.
living on Gallifrey currently, as opposed to like everyone having been destroyed, like we were led to believe when when the doctor let that random guy sacrifice himself.
You're right.
Let's do it. Ruby's mom.
Ruby's mom. Huh.
I was so I was mad.
I didn't
I
know
was
what
so
to think, you know, because
disappointed,
like,
man.
yeah, you don't want some impossible girl stuff, but like, I guess you don't not want it.
I was
So-
fine with it personally. Actually, that was like one of the few parts of the thing that I didn't mind. She was a regular lady, and that's good. She should have been a regular lady. She just had a good hood.
I,
Her hood
pointing-
game was strong.
the pointing to the sign was so stupid.
Oh, so
Who's she
stupid.
pointing to it for?
And what
Nobody
the heck
was
is the
there.
snow? Why does the snow happen?
Okay.
None of it makes any sense.
I
A whole season
Yes.
of not making sense.
I do like the idea, and RTT has said it's his response to Star Wars backpedaling on Rey, because, and I agree with him, it was the second of the whatever newer trilogy, the Rain Johnson, not Rain Johnson,
Yeah, I think so.
whatever,
Yeah.
was it him? Okay, who directed it and wrote it. I loved that turn that, no, Rey's not something special. Her parents were trash collector, whatever, just random nobodies. She just happens to have the Force, which in the Star Wars universe, it makes sense. Like, maybe
Anakin
it
was a buddy. It became
maybe
Vader.
it was established. Right. Maybe it was, like, I assumed in this, I'm not a Star Wars nerd, but like, I assumed it could potentially be anybody. It wasn't just like a bloodline thing.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. So, at least to me, in that universe, it makes sense. It's not like weird that she could be Force sensitive and come from like nobodies, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be some weird incestuous clone thing.
Right. And so, but of course, famously, like, they backpedaled on that with the next one, and like, well, they were technically nobodies, but they were also the children of Palpatine or whatever, you know, ridiculousness. So she's royal blood. So this was his response to that. This was his, like, that idea was great. I'm going to do that idea. I'm going to build it up as like, who is she? She's somebody special. Who's her mom? It's got to be somebody special. And it's like, nope, it's just an ordinary person.
Right.
On paper, that sounds good, but I feel like this is where RTD's meta game, where he's trying too hard to troll and mess with the audience, or maybe mislead us or misdirect us, that it's hurting the storytelling, because you can't then give her supernatural powers that are not ordinary, that are no explanation. She has a song in her that the god of music can't, like, fight against. Also, the god of music is a thing. You can't spend a whole season building this up, and it's not even just like, well, it's symbolically, the snow's symbolic. It's like, no, it's physical snow that they comment. Everyone in the scene always comments on. It happens multiple times. And then just to do the, like, her mom was just a normal person. She's just normal. You're putting, it's like he's trying to make the point that he made with like 73 yards or 72 yards, whatever. I can never remember which one, of like people trying to project meaning on things that don't have meaning.
Right.
But it did have meaning because you put meaning to it. You put such a focus on that there's this thing that is not ordinary. And that annoys me to no end. That, I think, makes it fail. If it weren't for that, if it was just like the flashback stuff or something, okay. But that go as far as to have snow and have it. She has magical qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And then to do the, like, it's just some random lady. It doesn't matter. It was just the power of her wanting to know her mom that gave her that ability. Well, that's stupid.
We
And caused them to be alive so that they could save the universe. from a dog monster that also wanted to know who her mom was.
The fact that Sutek was so involved in it, was so invested in this
Who is the
mystery.
mom?
So stupid.
We not too long ago watched a anime, and it did this so much better. If I wish they would have done something like that, where it was like some normal person, but the characters focused on that normal character so much that she became super powerful just from like them going over and over. It was a time travel one too, like over and over and over, all these timelines converging on this one person made her super special, even though she was totally normal and useless without all of that attention that they put on her.
You
Something
just
like
blew
that
my
would have made
mind.
sense.
Yeah, you just blew my mind, Melanie, because you're right. That's the exact same thing. But
Yeah.
it works in that anime. Wow.
Even RTD has done this better. And I don't want to give him credit for Journey's End because Journey's End is a piece of garbage. But Donna was the most important person in the universe for a minute. And she was just a temp from Chiswick.
Hmm.
Right, and they did build it up. But, you know, they didn't give her supernatural powers leading up to it that were never properly, that don't make sense.
Right.
Well, she did have the weird whatever in her that the spider lady wanted that got her involved in the first place for some reason. Why did she have that in her? I don't remember. The like, I don't know. The TARDIS dust, or not exactly, but something like that.
Oh, yeah, she was brought to the TARDIS for some reason. Well, her fiance was working with the spider lady or something.
Hmm.
I can't remember specifics now.
They did keep saying that things seem to be converging on you and we don't know why. But she had no, like you say, she didn't have space snow that just randomly would appear no matter what planet they were on.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. This is just another thing of like, dude, just stop, dial back the metagame, and the story the reveal I think would be better received, and the story would have been, I don't know, more compelling to me, instead of just because like the reunion scene when Ruby's like the doctor's just like, yeah, you probably shouldn't go, like whatever, and Ruby just goes in there like that, and she's good actor like that. I thought that was good.
That was a decent scene in the way that she introduced herself to her mom and all that.
Yeah.
Like there's good scenes in this. There's great acting in this thing. I think Bonnie Langford, Mel, she was rock solid in all of her appearances, and she's kind of hammy, but I think she did a great job with it.
There was one line. There was one line. I'd seen it in the trailer, but Melanie, like, her reaction, classic Melanie cringe reaction to Melanie when they get on the moped and she's like, "There's nothing for us to do but fight," and just like her reaction, Melanie goes, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that's so cheese, but it is 1,000% Mel. I mean, this is the carrot juice
it's
lady,
fine.
know.
Right. No, it was fine, and it was like not out of character for her.
Right.
But it was like it was hammy. You mentioned the hammy, and
it is. It's ham and cheese.
But she was good, and go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was weird to have Sutek call my name too. That was strange, but
Yeah.
Because he would always refer to her specifically as Melanie, full name.
Right.
So when he was like, Melanie was laughing. She started laughing. And
and Gabriel Wolf, he nailed it. Like every time his voice came on, man, they used it to great effect. 90-some years old or something, like 92,
like 91. I heard.
Yeah. Whew. I hope I have
great.
such a rich tenor to my voice. When I'm that age.
It sounded like you lifted him because especially people's voices when they get older, like you sound like an old man's voice or whatever. That's whatever. But most of his line delivery sounded like you could have lifted it out of the 70s. It sounded good. Yeah.
Colin and Tom both sound older.
You needed to whisper
a
more,
little
though.
bit of a rattle their voice and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
whatever they did to his voice, like there was no rattle. It was crisp.
Yeah, when you listen to some of the older Doctors, like Big Finish stories, you're like, yeah,
Fifth
okay.
Doctor in particular, he's gravelly now. He was never gravelly as
Right.
5.
And it's fine, but it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I can tell. I hear it. I hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
I thought it was a weird choice for the Doctor to leave right that moment. Like. Also, I don't trust her. I don't trust Ruby's mom because she was too fast to be like, yeah, okay, let's go to your. I do like, however, Ruby's adopted mom looked uncomfortable or looked a little upset when they were sitting on the couch there with Ruby's real mom. She looked bothered, and that I like that. That makes sense. That's good character work there.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird that the Doctor didn't just like at least hang around a little bit. Also, and Melanie pointed this out to me as we were watching it, or just after we were watching it, because Ruby's like, I told her everything. I explained everything. And it's Melanie's like, she thinks Ruby's crazy. It's like when she comes out of nowhere and she's like, let me tell you about this time traveler and all these things and this adventure in snow. The god of music.
It's snow. And when you pointed at that sign, I knew what my name was again.
Mm-hmm.
That's so stupid. That's such a prime example of like, no, you just set up a bunch of stuff that didn't mean anything. And that's bad
She
story
did
writing.
not choose your name. She pointed at a sign. She couldn't name
like
you.
what a-
She left you on a doorstep.
Maybe she was pointing at the goblins coming down on the church.
Could
That
be.
would've made more sense.
More sense, yeah.
I think it's like when baseball players point out to left field, it's like over there.
What the crap is that?
I don't
She
know.
could
Like,
not. She couldn't see the TARDIS. Like, oh man, now there's this box in the way. I wanted to point at that sign.
Yeah.
It's
she
mostly
not
things
see
with the
it? Perception filter.
the sign thing is dumb.
It's dumb.
It's not
very
good.
dumb.
You know what's also dumb? The spoon thing. Because like Dead Planet, Last Living People, they go to 2046, spoons everywhere.
Yeah.
Could have went anywhere. You didn't have to go to a place where there's a person. Nope, I got to haggle for a spoon.
You're right. It's
Yeah.
it just feels whatever. It's just
Hey Mel, you want to rustle up some spoons in case the tube tablet dies again?
Nah.
Oh well. I mean, some of the lapse in logic, some of it was just truly amazing.
It really was amazing. I wonder what else would be as
know what
amazing as this episode was.
Stars. They're amazing. Specifically though, well, okay, so in general we have a pretty good idea of how stars work. We've watched enough stars, whatever, but there's some stars that we don't they don't fit into our idea of how it works, which are S-class stars that are like the inner ring of stars around the center of the Milky Way. So they're bigger. Well, first of all, they shouldn't even really be there because it's not a nice place to be. It's kind of a violent area. But they're bigger and younger than they should be, if they're even going to be there. And we can't really explain it. So then some researchers from Stockholm University, though, hypothesize that stars, instead of, I don't know if you know how they normally work, they burn up hydrogen basically, or they don't burn it up, but they nuclear or fusion it, fission. Anyway, so instead of doing that and burning up their hydrogen, they hypothesize that they are catching dark matter and then pulling it in, and it's annihilating with regular matter, which produces way lots of energy, so that they don't have to use their hydrogen, so that they can basically live forever, which is interesting. And so it works if dark matter exists, and if that dark matter follows certain rules, then it works in their simulations. But the thing is, we don't really know if dark matter does exist, and if it does exist, we don't know that it follows any of those rules. So it's all hypothetical, but it's interesting. And if it's true, that's cool. We have immortal stars in the middle of the galaxy. That's kind of awesome. So isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. And now I want to know, like, if an immortal star does die, does it create a black hole, or does it create something worse, like a dark matter hole?
It probably just gets sucked into the giant super black hole in the center of the galaxy and make it even bigger, I'm gonna guess.
All right.
Yeah. The supermassive, that's what they're called. Supermassive black holes.
Supermassive black hole. Well, it certainly
Supermassive.
does suck.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go Wayne's World on?
I went Wayne's World. It's
God,
the suck
man.
cut. Well, it certainly does suck. Sucking my will to live.
I can't. That makes me think of the same from Wayne's World. The line about the Beatles, the crappy Beatles. We'll say the crappy Beatles. They ain't good. They suck. It's just stupid. Wayne's World's a classic.
It really is.
Only we could take Melanie's amazing star story and be like, so Wayne's World.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
All right. Well, Jesse, you got anything you want to mention before we bounce out of here? I think that's about it for our show.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything. Seems
Okay.
like there was something.
Y'all can
that
wish
was
me some
time
luck, because
sensitive.
I gotta help my niece write a paper about upstanders from the Holocaust and today. And that's due tomorrow.
Upstanders. We were talking about this the other day. So upstanders, they're not bystanders, they're upstanders. They made a difference. And that is such a, like, Melanie and I edit a lot of, like, self-help coach and coaching and business and, inspirational and entrepreneur podcasts. That is such a term that somebody would come up with and make their catchphrase. Like, gotta be a upstander. I think the one what was it? I can't remember. I was editing a show today, and the guy said something where I was like, "Oh God, why?" But it's the, like, wordplay that's kind of cute, but it's supposed to be inspirational. I'm just a negative person.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm like, oh, just stop it. Stop it.
Gotta have a term for everything. You're an influencer. You're something. You're whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I get it. Catchphrases, they're a catchphrase for a reason. That's why they're called catchphrases. They catch on. It's memorable.
Catchy.
Catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love all the people that we edit. Just so you know, I'm not trashing. I'm not trashing clients.
Of course.
I'm not trashing
Podedit.com.
clients.
Yeah, the ones we don't like, we get rid of.
We do. But we've got.
You wouldn't edit
we
them
have-
if you didn't like them.
We had. It's true. We have had to get rid of clients before. There are some things that are just too far. I don't want to be involved with.
That's fair. Well, thank you, Helix Rock Radio Giants
Yes.
of Rock,
Oh yeah, I
for
forgot all
listening
about
this
them.
long.
Yeah. I mean, you guys. That's.
Hour and a half.
I don't have
man.
numbers on the radio station, but I gotta assume it's more people tuning in than we're tuning into the live streams tonight. I will say that much. Anybody who took their time to watch us, even for a moment, or listen to us, thank you. I appreciate it. Tomorrow on Helix Rock Radio, I will be streaming again because I can't get enough. Except tomorrow, instead of talking about Doctor Who, I'll be playing death metal and black
The
metal.
death
and
of
thrash.
death metal.
What happens when you play what happens when you combine death metal and death metal. I don't know. You get the Carpenters. I'm not sure what happens. You get
All the leaves are brown.
yeah. I don't know. That's still kind of dark. Yeah. Edge of the Abyss. Friday nights. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow night. 8 p.m. Basically the same time we go live here, except I'm a little bit more punctual, but it's different. 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on rockradio.live. Yeah. Oh, what else? That's about it. That's the main stuff. I have something coming up next month. I think that I'll be promoting a little bit, but I'll wait on that. That music thing. All right. Thanks, everybody. If you want to hear more or see more, go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. That's where we live.
That's where we live. That's where we die. That's where we kill death.
Yep.
It's where we kill death and live again.
That's right. And all of you live again as well.
Yep.
You're welcome.
We'll resurrect you.
You're welcome, America. July 4th, baby. Oh, yeah. When's our next show? Is it on July 4th or something crazy?
Oh. Okay. We're off air on radio, but we're still streaming. Yeah, it is. Well, ooh. Okay. Well, we probably won't be doing that.
No.
'Cause I will be busy.
Yeah, we're going to be watching the UK elections.
You're right. Those are happening
the
on
best.
July 4th.
That's the best way to celebrate the independence of America.
Yeah.
Watching the UK elections.
That's right.
Oh, man.
I feel like, look what we don't have to deal with. I mean, so,
No, but wait. Our people are as older than yours. So I guess
I like the idea. I like the idea that we're streaming tonight and we're like, don't watch the presidential debates. We're on. We're not going to stop the show for that. And then next week it's like, it's not because of 4th of July, but we're not going to stream because we're watching UK elections.
right.
Traitors. Traitors.
Inhaling fireworks smoke.
Yeah, 4th of July. I didn't even realize that. We definitely won't be. Okay, we won't be streaming next week.
All right.
I don't know what we'll be doing. But
Party time.
all right, so then the week after that, we'll probably be back.
Yeah. Yep. It'll give us time to figure out what we're watching. Oh, I
Right.
just realized that Sweet Tooth has been out since like the 5th of June. Something.
Yeah, I did. I opened the Netflix app the other day and was like, oh, Sweet Tooth. I don't think we finished. I don't think Melanie and I finished the last season of it, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm interested to see how they're going to try to wrap it up.
Yeah,
No.
I'll have to catch up on it. We'll add it to our rotation. All right. For real. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend and all that. Thursdays can get bent.
They can, especially the 4th.
That's the catchphrase. That's our inspirational catchphrase.
That's it.
Thursdays, they get bent. We don't know gets about Thursdays.